Welcome to the Real Estate Show. From buying to selling and everything in between. Rochester's home for everything real estate. And now, your hosts from the Anthony Butera team of Keller Williams Realty, Greater Rochester. It's Anthony Butera and Jason Mancuso.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 96 of the Real Estate Show. We have Anthony and Jason here. Hey, guys.
Going home.
So let's see what we got. We were doing like some Q&A, right, from listeners, which you can always go on the Facebook. You can leave us questions or message us questions. We had one more if you wanted to get into that one.
Yeah,
we could tackle that.
All right.
Fire away.
This is somebody that they've been looking for a home. They haven't been able to find a home or get into a home that they wanted, and they were wondering if they should start looking into like new construction or building a home.
First thing that is running through my head is price point, right? So like I feel like there's still a misconception when it comes to building from the consumers, right? So like if you're not in a $200,000 plus price range, pre-qualification range, new construction's probably not going to be feasible. You may see homes advertised for $199,900 or $189,900, and you'll see that it's not a real existing home. They'll just take a picture from a builder's plans or just some computer generated drawing, but it's not a real home. And what they'll do is they'll try and get you in. They'll try to attract interest from a price point like that. And then once you realize, like, wait a second, that home they're advertising is only 1,500 square foot colonial. It's going to probably look funny. And wait, what development's it in? The development's brutal. And what's included? Oh shit, that 189.9 is going to turn into 275 pretty quickly, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess I'll start out with price points. Like if you're not a $200,000 plus buyer, it's probably not going to be feasible. And also depending where you want to be and depending the type of home that's going to function for your family, if it's like just the two of you, maybe you're empty nesters and you're retired and you don't need much space and you're also snowbirds, you just need a place to go for 6 months out of the year, then you could get away with a 2-bedroom ranch. And maybe like a 2-bedroom ranch, you're probably, somewhere between like $215,000 and to, 300 plus thousand, depending on the finishes and the square footage. But
yeah.
So with that being said, like it's realistic. But if you're telling me that like this is going to be you need a family home, you need 4 bedrooms, you need 2.5 bath, you need 2,200 square feet, like, you're in the 300s, and you could be well into the 300s depending on the finishes. Now, upside, right? So if you're in that price range now of 250 plus and you're looking for something that's going to suit your family, new construction could be a really good option. The number one advantage right now in this current market is you're not going to be in competition when you're building a house. It's going to be a home that you're going to build exactly for you to suit you and your family's needs. And it's a brand new home, right? Like you may spend, you're probably going to be more willing to spend more money on a new home because you don't necessarily have to budget for any deferred maintenance that you may be seeing in some of these other homes that are selling in any condition because of the market conditions. So that's a lot of just like, I just dumped a lot on you guys. So
yeah, no, I mean, I think you made a lot of good points. I mean, that $200,000 mark, I think, is kind of the key just as a starting point, just for
the basis
this area, and frankly for the west side of town. I mean, I these are friends of mine actually, and they were able to find a builder out in Brockport, and we're finishing up right now. It'll be done in about another month, where they're right around 200, and they're getting it's suitable for them. They have a family, and it's about, don't quote me, I think it's like 1,600 square feet. brand new build in a great neighborhood in Brockport, and they're right around 200. And we were looking at that like, how is this even possible? But we'll take it. I remember the builder we represented was 2-3 years ago at this point, to where he put up that 2-bedroom small ranch right at 200, and we told him, we're like, man, do this. Can you just do 20 of these? And he's like, yeah, no, not happening ever again.
So, but
Well,
when
the
you're
margins just weren't there.
when you're saying that price point, like, or you want over
back,
200,000, is that that's like if there's like a track, right? That's like a builder
In a development,
a
yes.
development. There's going to be 30 houses built.
Good
That's,
point, Mark.
that's higher when like you're just like, oh, I like this middle of the woods. Can you
Yeah.
put a house in the middle of the woods? You know?
I get that
Yeah,
phone
so
call at
dive
least
into
twice
that.
a week.
Yeah, I mean, people always have that dream, and not to say that the dream's unrealistic. You just got to know that, like, if you're looking at a piece of undeveloped land, I mean, you're now taking on all the costs that a builder would otherwise take on, and include in this rolled out kind of package price. So there's a lot to it, just in terms of, you've got, whether it's a road or a driveway, either a septic or a sewer and utilities and all this stuff that comes into play, town approvals, it's a lot. I mean, if there's a lot of people that are cut out for it too. So it's not like it's impossible or unrealistic, but if you're, I'll put it to you this way, even me in the business, you're just, Johnny Joe, not really knowing anything about construction, it's not happening probably. So it would take a lot to get through that type of thing. And at that point, now you've got increased costs as well compared to the builder in a track, because they're outside of their track where all their equipment is, all their crew is, and they're on site, and it's a kind of a custom deal. So yeah,
it's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up, Mark, because of course I was going right down the path of people wanting to build new in an existing development, which developments are really popular with, families with young kids, because they got to be around other kids and all that, or at least that's what they think they want,
Sure.
right? Until you see the other kids. And, but like back to the point of we want to build and we see this lot for sale, it's 10 acres for $50,000. I want to build a house there. Yes, there's added expenses for a builder to do what that's considered what's called a site build or a spot build, where they're building off their site, and added expenses because it costs more to do something like that, a spot build where you don't have other homes around you that are going up and you don't already own the land as the builder. Now, even if you scoop up 5 acres for $50,000, and let's just say it's a treed lot, like just tree removal, you could be 25,000 easy just to clear a section of that land out. Mm-hmm. Now utilities, right? If it's in an area where you've got a lot of land, chances are you're not going to have public sewers at the road. Now you're talking another $25,000 for a raised bed septic system. Now you're talking the excavation, like the site work. The utilities, there's even, like, I'm sure that there's gas and electric at the road. Now, everybody, when they're picturing these site builds or these spot builds, they're picturing like, well, we want to be set way off the road. Well, guess what? Every foot you go back is another foot of labor that people have to run electric, all the utilities, the plumbing, natural gas. It costs a lot of money. And guess what? You still need a driveway. Like, you have to access your house. We don't live in San Diego. Like, we got to get through snow. And I mean, so just like quick numbers right there, we're $150,000. We haven't even broke ground yet.
Yeah, I was going to say you're easily 6 figures before you put a shovel in the ground. So, that just,
so that's probably more of like a luxury thing.
Yeah. That's the way to describe it. I think at that point you're building.
I don't want to kill your dream.
Yeah.
My dream. Yeah. I'm just looking.
I don't want to kill your dream, but you may have to dry it.
Yeah. I'm looking just for like a lean-to in Scottsville, in the woods, going off the grid.
Hey, Mark. No offense. We need verification of employment to do anything.
Okay, yeah.
boy.
Oh no.
Lord.
Self-employed doesn't count.
It could, but it's probably in that same dream.
Yeah.
So, I mean, back to, the traditional development, I guess. I think the original question of like, oh, yeah, I'm having a tough time buying an existing home, as crazy as that sounds, that's a thing these days, right? And, we can tie it into what we've been talking about in recent months of with as low as the interest rate is, if you got the opportunity to be able to afford something that's brand new, it may not be that much of a bump from, what these existing homes are going for that are, 10, 20 years old or whatever the example is. So I think ultimately it all comes down to the same strategy conversation of, what are you comfortable with financially? And you can take that to your agent, your lender, or, work with a builder on, hey, here's where I can be. What can you do for me? And you'll find out quickly of like, look at you're going to get, we can do this, but you're going to be 500 square feet shorter than what you want. Or it fits into the budget. And then you go from there. I mean, building new construction is a great option. I mean, you got a brand new house, custom to, what you want, in terms of, everything. I mean, if you got the budget where money's no object and you can, do it to the nines, great. If not, think of it as you're getting the colors that you want. You're getting the, type of, colored cabinets, counters, etc. And you're moving into your home. Nobody else has lived in it. And obviously, that in itself has some value depending on where you're at in the thought process.
Yeah. It's not like, I'm not saying it's not practical. It's just not common that like first time home buyers are building a home. And I say that because like, when we sit and talk with our clients that are building, they know exactly what they want because they know what their house right now, they know what works about their house and what doesn't. So they're kind of building specific to what they realize their needs are. Because when you're buying your first home, you don't really realize until you're in there for 6 months to a year, like, you know what, it's missing this, or I wish we had that. This would be the perfect house if. Right? Which kind of segues into another option where like I do get those phone calls of people that want to build, they don't want to be around other people. I think a practical solution if you're not in that, that $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 plus price range, there's rehab loans and they're underutilized. I would rather, for the most part, I'd rather see you look for a house, even if you could spend $350,000. I'd rather you find something for $250,000 with land that needs a lot of work and do $100,000 worth of remodeling and make it your own. There's a really good ROI, the return on investment, when you're doing something like that. And those project homes, they're not part of that same market we're in right now with turnkey properties that are bonkers and have 15 offers. Those are typically the ones that do link.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point because it kind of satisfies the same. I'm back.
All right.
I'm back. In terms of, hey, I'm losing out on these offers with these competitive situations. And you point to the things that are in less demand, I guess is the way to look at it. I mean, not building a new home isn't for everybody. And, these houses that just look like shit, people can't look past it a lot of times, and they're not going to think outside the box. They're like, okay, what could I make this, and how can I get creative with financing options to where I'm not just, spending $100,000 of my own money after I buy the house. So, I mean, that's a great point to make in terms of, satisfying the lack of inventory that's out there of existing homes with these new listings that just get swept up with and there's 20 offers on them. So there's options. I mean, look at this, what we're experiencing right now in the market. It's crazy, but it's not impossible by any means.
So
And like I alluded to before, if you got your financial game plan.
Jason, why is your phone ringing?
I'm gonna lose it. It's on. What I was saying is it's on us to advise you of the options, and you choose. So what we're talking about, the topic of today, and this new construction leading into renovation type situations, isn't going to be for everybody. We get that, but if the option isn't presented, then shame on us or shame on the person that you're working with to help you.
Yeah, and we have a new build development that we represent, and we've got a lot of activity going on right now. We got a lot of houses going up because, whether it was a viable option or not, a lot of consumers are getting turned off to this market, and they don't want to be in competition with a ton of other buyers. And this is their solution. You know what? I'd rather spend an extra $50,000, $100,000 with today's interest rates to get exactly what I want, not exactly what everybody else wants that we have to fight for. Because listen, when you're buying existing, there's no such thing as the perfect existing home. You're settling on something. So new construction allows you the ability to not have to settle. Go and get exactly what you want, how you want it, in the trim and color and everything that you want.
Now, I'll play devil's advocate to a point. You got to keep in mind with most builders, there's a base product, right? And we touched on it earlier that, then the price goes up from there depending on what you want added on. It's important if you're pursuing this option to really know inside and out what the builder is offering for the certain costs and what's included. I guess the best examples I can get is, you got a brand new house, but, you're left without a deck or a patio, and you got a sliding glass door that's boarded, or not boarded up, but blocked off by a railing type guard, so you don't fall out and into nothing. So, a lot of time, and you may have unseeded grass, you may have just a gravel driveway. It's important to find out what's included and then know what you got to do, after the fact from there. Now, if it's your forever home or close to it, you got the time, and, the rest of the neighborhood's in the same boat. So it's not like you're sticking out like an eyesore. But I guess point I'm making is kind of, we see a lot of homes that were built 10 years ago that come on the market, and there's still not a deck or, stuff like that. So that just,
no landscaping.
You also don't want to be overstretched financially because of building a new home to where you can't, make it your forever home, down the road. So.
Yeah, great point, Jason. And, really what he's referring to is you have to verify the builder's standards. You could price the same home with 3 different builders and assume that the highest price one is unreasonable until you see what the standards are, because the builder that may have come back with the highest quotes is including granite countertops, an upgraded cabinet. They're including tile as opposed to a linoleum. They have a higher carpeting allowance. They have a higher electric allowance. They have a higher fixture allowance. You have to ask yourself which route you're going to go. Now, if you're okay with the bottom of the barrel standards, you'll do the stuff after, it's fine. But also know you can go back to that builder that is at a higher price point and ask for those credits back. They can depreciate their standards into your costs too, right? So our builder, his tagline is, my standards are the competition's upgrades, because he does include a lot of stuff. He does cultured stone on the exterior of the home. And a lot of the reasons why is he wants to turn his back on a development when he's done with it and know that he's done a really nice job and has a good product. And the sellers are, they're not going to lose out. I mean, our homes that have sold, literally, people that live in our development, they really love it. And we just sold a home in our development. They just built it 9 months ago, and they bought the model 2 doors down because they like the track, they like the families, the kids are in there, and they're making money in 9 months' time, which is kind of unheard of, but it plays into the finishes that the builder does, and it's in a desirable school district, and they're going to do good with it. So the old rule of thumb was like, if you build, you got to stay there forever. Well, not necessarily in the market that we're in. It's a pretty forgiving market to any bad decision you may make in the moment.
Crazy.
So with the rehab loans, do you have to get it okayed by the bank then of the upgrades you're doing, so then they're not losing out on, if they're giving you an extra $100,000?
Yeah. They're gonna want to know what you're doing, because it is gonna affect the appraisal, right? They're gonna make sure that you're spending your money on tangible, high return on investment items. They don't want you to spend it on 24 karat gold paint, because the ROI is not going to be there.
Sure.
So kitchens, baths, roofs, windows, they're good with that. They've loosened their belts a lot with what you're allowed to do. And I think it's a great product. And if building's not in your, if you're not thinking of building, but you can't find anything existing, but there's a home that would work for you, right? Like the footprint of the home would work for you, but it needs a lot of work. Don't just don't turn your back on it. There's alternatives, and that's kind of the path you may want to start focusing on. Look at the stuff that everybody else is ignoring. There's opportunity in that.
Yeah. I think especially if it's a situation where you're trying to buy your forever home, to me, like, not that nothing else matters, but the stuff that you can't change matters the most. And that's going to be like, the neighborhood, the lot layout, like, are you backed up to woods or not? Stuff like that, whether it's important to you or not, if it is, you want to make sure that you're settling into a place that, okay, you can change, you can upgrade a kitchen at some point. You can do this, you can do that. You can't pick up the house and move it to a better lot. So I mean, you got to kind of keep that in mind, and I think that's important for those buyers that are looking to move up to what is going to be potentially their forever home. Like, look past the whatever it is, the kitchen sink that you don't like, or the paint color, or this and that. Yeah, if you're going to be there forever, you got time to change it. You can't change, that there's a neighbor in the back of you.
Yep. So. Don't be closed-minded, right? Like, there's a cross-eyed girl with a mustache somewhere that has a really nice undercarriage that you don't know, right? If it works for you, then that's the path you go down. There's opportunity.
Why are you telling the story of how we met?
I've never heard it referred to as an undercarriage before.
Wow, Mark, we're in delicate times, my friend.
Yeah, it's 2020, pal.
That's right.
The only other thing I'll add on the rehab loan, I guess the best way to think about it is, like, the bank's not just going to give you a check for $100,000 and tell you to go ham and let us know when you're done. It's a process. Yeah. They need to be involved from start to finish. There's approvals. You can't. Uncle Billy, who does some side work, isn't going to be able to do the work for you. But with that said, it's very streamlined, and it's very, it's easy to get done. I mean, it's, you kind of think of it as a new construction process. I mean, yeah, it's a process, but it's doable. But
and to be clear, Mark,
do it.
Don't tell your friends it's called a rehab loan. It doesn't mean like there's grant money because they're in rehab.
Oh, okay.
This is remodel. Okay.
I'll call my buds in rehab right now. All right. We can check out AnthonyButeroTeam.com, subscribe to the podcast, find us on Facebook, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Yeah, boys. See you.
Thanks for listening to The Real Estate Show. Find us on Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. If you're looking to sell or buy, talk to the Anthony Butera team of Keller Williams Realty, Greater Rochester. Visit AnthonyButeroTeam.com.